Hey y'all, welcome to Girl Meets Green. My name's Norma, your host of whatever. It is day 5. We're talking the last holiday. Day 5 through 8 are going up on the same day. I don't need judgment. I need support. I do. It just, things happen. Here we are. Day 4 was a day late. These are all going up at once. But the hope is that we get caught up today and the next 4 days is smooth sailing. I mean, I made it, so 2/3 out of the 12 days will have gone up when they were supposed to, but that's okay. I mean, it is what it is. Anyways, day 5, last holiday, a classic, a favorite. As I was watching, I was like, why has it been so long since I watched this? Or like, why don't more of us talk about like watching this for the holidays? Because it's just so good. Queen Latifah is Georgia, our main character. She works at a department store. She works for the cooking section, it seems. Her boss is an a-hole. He listens to the like CEO or owner of the department store. He has this book out, one of those self-help, like Kim Kardashian's get up and work lazies type of energy, when like he's got hella money. You get it. So yeah, he's like, you gotta get our sales up, yada, yada, yada. We gotta be more like him, right? And Queen Latifah, she does like cooking demonstrations once a week, right? Like that's how they sell their cookware, all this stuff. And he's like, we need to stop doing that, yada, yada. So Queen Latifah has a crush on Sean, played by LL. And he also works at the department store, I guess in like the outdoor cooking equipment. I don't know, he's selling grills. And that's, okay, so that's her work life, right? So then we see her going home. I think she's at, oh yeah, she's singing for the choir at church. I believe that's how the movie starts. And then she's going home. We see her at home, like wiping down a car that she doesn't drive. I don't think it works, or maybe it does. I don't know. She don't drive it and it's sitting there. And there's a little boy who lives next door. It's a duplex, who I guess watches it for her for like money? No, or maybe just dinner. And so she cooks these dinners, right? She watches, it's a famous chef. I'll put his name here if I see it. But she watches and cooks with him, like as he's cooking. And then the kid comes over and he eats the food and he's like, you're not gonna eat some? And she's like, oh, no. She's like, I eat my lean cuisines. And she like takes pictures of what she eats, and she has a book that she calls her dream journal or something along those lines, which is basically where she puts like what she wishes her life would be, right? Like what things she's eating, where she's going, who she's married to. And in the book, it's a picture with her face and Sean's face cut like onto it, right? Old school Photoshop. You know what I'm talking about. The little boy sneaks the book. She's like, you don't touch people's stuff. But yeah, so then she goes to work. I said it a little bit backwards. So what I said about work now happens after we see her home life. And at work, she's doing a cooking demonstration. Sean shows up. He asks for a little sample. She's giving him a little sample. They're talking. She drops some stuff. They both go to pick it up. She comes up, bumps her head on a cabinet. What was that cabinet doing in the middle of the floor? Who knows? But she bumps her head. She's out like a light. LL is fireman carrying her to apparently the clinic that is within the hospital, within the mall. Listen, y'all, I got questions. But yeah, carries her in there. The doctor's like, we need a CAT scan to make sure she ain't got a concussion. Of course, the boss is there like, is that really medically necessary? We don't really need to pay for that. The doctor's like, I mean, if you want a workers' comp lawsuit, like, feel free to say no. He's like, okay. And, they're like, oh yeah, it's a used machine, but new to us, whatever. Takes a CAT scan, says she has some bacterial infection that has led to a brain tumor, and she dying. There's no saving her, she's dying. They get a second opinion from, I guess, another doctor that works there. They're like, girl, you dying, right? So she's like, what the fuck? So she goes home, she's looking through her journal or whatever, and she's like, I should have done that. I should have ate that. I should have gone there. I should have this. She was like, you know what? Forget that. So she goes to her bank, withdraws all of her bonds, and withdraws her IRA, like her retirement fund, okay? She said, I'm doing one big last trip. So she goes to where she wants to go. I genuinely cannot remember where. Really nice hotel in a really nice place, okay? So she goes, she's there, and we are introduced to some characters, and I'm not recalling names. So we've got the CEO of the department store she works for, and his mistress, who is his assistant. Okay, so we're gonna call her Redhead assistant. CEO, okay? CEO, redhead assistant. And then we have the councilman, senator, I believe he is. We're going with senator. And then we have a senator of where she lives. He was supposed to be at the church and he wasn't. And she's like, so this is where he was, whatever, right? Georgia catches on that the redhead and him are having an affair. And the redhead, she sees the redhead get ignored by him. Like someone comes up to him and then he's like, yeah, go up there. Like I'm going to go do X, Y, Z. And so she tells the redhead, she goes, hey, he's going to have a shitty fourth quarter, if that's any consolation, right? Because I forgot to mention, she ends up quitting because her boss is like being a jerk while she's trying to tell him the news. So she's like, man, I forget you, yada, yada. She quits. She's like, you ain't shit. This place ain't shit. I'm out. And he's like begging her to stay. Like, I'll give you a 25-cent increase, 50 cents, $1.50. Georgia, don't go. And he tells her like she can't go because, you know, things are going downhill. Like sales are down. He needs her help to get sales up. He can't afford to lose her. So yeah, she's like, his fourth quarter is going to be bad, whatever. And she asks the bellhop or like someone working at the hotel, like, who's that? And he's like, oh, like that's, she apparently knows the senator. She mentioned that they were supposed to have a meeting last week or something along those lines, right? And so she's like, so now they're like, who is this type of thing, you know? And so essentially she's living her best life at this hotel. She's doing her thing. She goes to dinner at the restaurant in the hotel. And I guess the CEO had like a hookup with the chef to make him look good. But then he gets distracted because Georgia orders like one of everything on the menu because it's like the chef's special menu. And the waiter lets her know that he never repeats a night. So every night it's different. And she's like, great, I want it all. So the chef wants to talk to her. She's super dope, of course. It's Queen Latifah, but it's Georgia. But she's dope as hell. So the chef is having fun talking to her. CEO is trying to get his attention. And he's like, you wait over there. And so then CEO is just like, who is this lady? And CEO is having dinner with the senator. And senator's looking at her like, who is she? Look at her like ordering. I wish I could order food like she do, like ordering all the food. Look at her, look at her. And so they're all trying to figure out who she is. For some reason, the CEO is threatened by her, which I'm so confused. Like, why? What's going on here? What are we doing? But I guess the assumption is that he thinks she's the competition or working for the competition or trying to sabotage him. Because apparently he went all this way with the senator and some other rich dude to try to donate to them more or get them to donate to him more. That's a little confuzzled, but I guess everybody's rubbing everybody backs. Anyways, yeah. Georgia runs in to the mistress, having a little spa day moment, and the mistress is being mean to a worker, and so she's like, you don't need to be mean to her just because you stuck giving him BJ's. And she's kind of just looking at her like, well, shit. And the worker's like, thank you. And so she's in the hot tub. Mistress comes to the hot tub and she's like, is it that obvious? She's like, girl, yes. And so she starts talking about how like she can't leave him because then she'd have to leave work and she doesn't have a college degree. And, you know, George is like, so go back to college, bitch. Like, it really is that simple, honey. It really is. It'll be okay. Like, you could do better. And so that leaves her thinking, okay? And so she goes to him, telling him what she's heard. And she's just like, Georgia. And he's like, oh, it's Georgia now? And she's like, she's cool. Like, she don't seem to be much of anything unless she's the competition trying to, like, trick me or whatever. And so, yeah, this is where the turnaround happens. Everybody's loving them some Georgia. Everybody's hanging out with Georgia. They all go to dinner either the next night or some night after that last dinner night. And she shows up and they're like, come sit with us, Georgia, sit with us, Georgia, sit with us. And the CEO is just like, senator and the mistress are like, yeah, sit with us, whatever. But then one of the waiters comes up to her and he's like, oh, like the chef prepared a special table for you. And she's like, I guess y'all are sitting with me because I got a special table. And so then they're all at the table and he's at another table looking all bitter. And then he like joins them by like scooting in a chair and like being all up in the mix. But he's like trying to figure out who she is. So he pays the lady who I guess is like in her room in case she needs her or something, and pays her to like snoop or whatever. And so she's out with them. They're having a good time. She tells them that she's going, it's not bungee jumping, parasailing. I don't know, you jump. Maybe it was bungee jumping, some sort of jumping. We're going to go with bungee jumping. And so he's talking about how he got them like a glass blowing tour or something. And she's like, yeah, I'm going bungee jumping. And everybody else is like, that sounds like way more fun. Let's go do that. And so he's like, well, then I'm going to jump too. But then he chickens out, which they're not surprised. But he chickens out, whatever. So when Queen Latifah gets back to her room, the lady who was snooping / her person or whatever, she snooped and found out that she's dying. So she's like, I'm here for you. I'm going to be here for you till the very end. I'm sorry. Like, whatever. And so she gives Duke the money back. And she's like, she's a great person. Like, leave her alone. Here's your money back. And he's like, I'm going to figure this out. But the one thing that the lady does tell him is that she works for him. And so we can see where this is headed, right? So she's getting along with everyone. But someone says to her, like, you need to, like, live the life you want to live. Or I think it was actually the lady. She says to her, like, you're such an amazing person. Like, why are you spending your last days here with these people if you don't want to be here? Because she mentions, like, we'll be here till the very end. And she's like, I don't even know if I want to be here till the very end. And so she's like, we're with all these horrible people. Like, what's going on? Makes her realize that, like, she should be home with the people she loves, spending time with them. So she's decided she's going to go home. Everyone tells her to come eat with them. So she's like, you know what? I'll go one last time, whatever. So she goes to sit down with them. Oh, you know what it was? The lady found her, like, if you're reading this, I'm already gone letter. So that's how she found out. She was snooping through stuff. I just wanted to add that in there. So she's at dinner with everyone, and basically CEO gets up and he's like, yep, she's been pretending to be one of us. She's just a department worker. She works in the cooking section. Like, that's all she does. And so she's essentially like, you know, yeah, I wanted to come here, live my best life before I die. I'm dying. Yep. The chef knew at this point, and so did the lady. Yeah, so CEO just looks like a big-ass asshole. She gives her beautiful speech, and she's like, and now I'm going home. And they're all just like, you suck, dude. And they all walk away from him. The assistant is like, I hope your wife leaves you. And when she leaves you, I hope she takes half. And I'm going to make sure that I help her figure out what half is. I'm going to college. Bye. And then the rest of the guys are like, we ain't giving you no money, sweetie. No money, no support. You're on your own. Peace out. So Queen Latifah tries to leave, but there's a snowstorm, so she gets brought back to the hotel. Now, what's been going on behind the scenes-ish this whole time is after she leaves, when she's leaving, LL Cool J stops her to be like, I got us tickets to a game. And she's like, got somewhere else to be. He's like, oh, somewhere else to be. So he's thinking with somebody else, right? So he gives her the ticket, and he's just like, if you happen to want to be there, okay, you have a ticket. Doesn't hear from her. Goes to the doctor, scares the news out of him, goes to her house, meets the little boy shows him her dream book. He's like, oh, it must be in here where she is, figure out where she is. So he flies over there. Obviously, similarly, he gets caught in the storm and he's having to, like, walk to where she is from a certain point. 2/3 of the way through the video, and I realized I never watched the end of the movie. Like, I didn't finish it. I had to leave that day. And I'm over here thinking I finished it. And then I'm like, that's the last thing I remember, what I was just saying. But anyways, she goes back to her room to leave. Mistress comes up to talk to her. She's like, I left him. Like, I'm going back to school, yada, yada. You know, whole nine. And one of the hotel workers, he's like, got some bad news. Mistress is like, what? CEO is about to jump off the building? He's like, not yet, but he's about to. And they're like, what? And she's like, she goes to get her coat. So Georgia goes out and he's sitting on the ledge drinking. And his two friends and Mistress are like, my God, what is this man doing? Mistress goes out there at one point and is like, you doing all this because you were scared to jump? Now you're not scared to jump? Like, girl, chill. So Queen Latifah's talking to him. You know, like, you got more to live for. You can change those things. Like, you can be better. Whole nine, right? And then she's telling him how she's in love with someone she works with, whatever. And then right there, Sean comes, because I told y'all he was coming. And he's yelling, Georgia, Georgia. And she's like, oh my God, it's happening. He's like, what? She's like, I hear him. I can hear his voice. He's like, well, no, actually somebody was calling your name. LL shows up, goes upstairs. He's like at the window. He's coming out, you know, he's telling her he loves her. She's looking at God like, why you playing with me right now? Like, why I gotta die? And then the lady who found out, who was in her room snooping, who yada yada, comes running up with the facts. And she's like, you're not dying, you're gonna live. You know, it was a mistake with the CAT scan. She calls it a dog scan, which is funny. And so, yeah, he's like, come on, girl, get inside. And she's like, Mr. Craig, are you ready to go? He's like, yeah, CEO, sorry, I confused y'all, because I've been calling him CEO, I know. And so they all go inside. She want to open a restaurant, so next thing we see is them in their restaurant. Her and her hubby LL got a restaurant now. LL is Sean, if you didn't know. So they're like cooking up. The chef from the hotel is there, like with them doing the whole thing. And so then they go to greet everyone, and her favorite chef from TV from the beginning of the movie comes to her restaurant opening. Very, very cute. It ends with LL hugging her from behind and smiling. And can we talk about LL? LL plays in love like a champ. Every movie, I can only think of 2 off the top of my head, but I know he's been in more. But the 2 movies that I've seen him be the love interest in, he be looking like he is so in love with them girls. But it's just that LL look that he does. Y'all know what I'm talking about. He be licking them lips and looking at her, and oof. He be fooling us. He be fooling us. He's an actor, okay? That's the movie. Very cute. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Like the video if you enjoyed. Comment down below. Have you seen the movie? Do you like it? Is it one of your holiday movies? Subscribe for more content like this, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.